Sparking Change with Gigi, a show that aims to make the world a better place by bringing together authentic minds. This show encourages each of us to be the change we wish to see in the world. Get ready to be inspired and join us on this journey to create a brighter future for all.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sparking Change with Gigi. I'm your host, Giovanna Tardarone, and today we're going to talk about trading. I have my guest, Terrell Ryan, who's an expert in trading. Welcome, Terrell.
Thank you.
And I love his positive mental attitude when it comes to training. I took a course, and we met, and I couldn't believe how, he was very helpful to a lot of people, just working from his heart. And I said, I have to have him on the show because we need to learn some of your secrets. My audience would love to know, how did you get started, and tell us your story.
Yeah, so what's up, everybody? My name is Terrell Ryan. A lot of people know me as Bag Talk Rel. So yeah, I have a platform where I teach traders how to be profitable in the stock market. And so, but it didn't start there at all. Trust me, I grew up in a place where nobody was talking about investing or trading, which is different from investing. Understand that, because investing is you put your money somewhere, it grows over time. Trading is more of a short-term avenue where you put money somewhere, you sell it the same day. So it's quick, it's intense, and it's might not be for everybody unless you get under the right mentor. So, but for me, I started off just your typical teenager playing basketball. That was my life. The only thing that was atypical, I would say, was my work ethic. And that's one thing I noticed from a young age is my work ethic definitely separated me from my peers. And I always thought it was interesting how two people could go through the same thing and come out different ways. So, for example, when I was playing basketball, I remember I was on a basketball team when I was young, and I was a star player. Like, I was the man. I was like, oh, this is great. This is amazing. And then my coach brought in a whole bunch of new players and then put me on the bench. And it was like extremely discouraging. And it wasn't just me, it was also my friend. Now we're both on the bench. We're going through the same thing. He quits basketball. For me, it put a battery in my back. And I said, okay, I'm about to go triple, I'm going to go way harder than I ever went. And so I was in the gym every single day, obsessively. I never had a summer job as a kid because my summers I always spent in the gym all day long, practicing my craft by myself in the morning, in the afternoon, and at night. And so it taught me a lot about myself and my character. And so now, I always got good grades. So, I went to school. I played basketball in college. I went to school, and then eventually I did a little stint. I went overseas to pursue basketball there as well. But one thing I always had was a desire to teach people. And so,
but you were determined, right? Like, if I'm listening to your story, you said you put that battery on your back, and you were determined that you're going to be successful, even playing basketball.
Oh yeah,
right. So that's being disciplined, and that's what you did. You were very disciplined.
Yeah. I had to rely on discipline. One thing I always say is rely on discipline, not motivation, because motivation is fleeting. It's driven by emotions, but discipline is a system. It's something that you commit to. And so that allowed me to, I relied on discipline my whole life. I think that's a unique skill of mine, because I think discipline is a skill, honestly, if you ask me. Right. So that's a skill I have, is I'm able to be disciplined. I'm able to sit through a process longer than the majority of people. And that has taken me farther than my talent could.
But you weren't born with it. You trained yourself to have it, right? You were determined that you were going to change, or you're going to be the best. Mm-hmm. And you created a system, and you were disciplined. So anybody can be disciplined.
Yeah. I completely agree. I think something that helps people become disciplined is buying into the system. You have to buy into the fact that if you repeatedly do a certain action, it's going to drive success. I think that people get discouraged through the process because it might take longer than they expect it to, but I always say you're on a divine timing. You're on God's time. Like I was telling you before, like, if you see like above my head,
I love that.
Yes, something I keep right here above where I usually trade. Right here there's a clock that I drew for myself. Before I was a good trader, I drew it, and it says God's time. So the hands point to the phrase God's time. So I feel like we're always on God's time, not ours. Right.
But so you have a burning desire to do well in trading, and I believe that's like your motivation in a sense. and why discipline is working for you. Like it's all it's a combination,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
right? It's like having a goal. I mean, you set yourself goals, I'm sure.
Yeah. But I would say though, my goal is bigger than me though, to be honest. And
Yes.
that's what drives my discipline, because it's not even just to be a great trader. I think that if that was the goal, I wouldn't work as hard. It's largely bigger than me. It's family. It's people I picture impacting. It's people I currently impact. It's people that look at me and they look at me for motivation and inspiration. And so days where, let's say I'm having a terrible day, I don't feel like getting up to do that workout or getting up to study the charts. I think about the people that are relying on me. When they're discouraged, they're thinking, well, Bagto Row wouldn't, give up today. So the days where I do feel like giving up, I'm like, I can't even do that. It's so much bigger than me. I feel like I'm carrying everybody at the same time.
Right. But that's what brings the joy in you.
Yeah.
What makes you get up, that desire of getting up in the morning, because you are affecting other lives.
Yes.
Right. And through them is what brings you the joy, your satisfaction, your fulfillment.
Oh yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Absolutely. So basically, I always had a love for teaching though. That's the thing, which kind of relates to what we were saying as far as impacting
Yes.
other people. And so, in college I did a math degree. And then once I was finished with basketball, I went and did my master's at Stony Brook University out here in New York. And so I was able to, get my master's. I got a teaching job. I'm teaching high school math, and I love what I do. I also was teaching at a juvenile detention center, just teaching kids financial literacy, especially kids that people wouldn't really like. A lot of people gave up on, you can say.
Yeah.
I like to impact people like that. So I'm doing my thing. Me and my friend also have a financial literacy show on YouTube we were doing at the time. So I'm loving what I'm doing, but there was something missing. There was something missing, and I just felt that I was being confined. I guess in the 9-5 structure, and I don't knock 9-5s. I think they're a beautiful thing. It's just not for everybody. For me, I couldn't do the 9-5. So I because I was in the financial literacy space, I knew about trading. I just didn't know how to trade. And here's where I'm crazy. And I think you have to be a little bit crazy.
Step outside the box, right?
Yes. You need to be crazy to be successful. I don't care. Anybody says, oh,
That's right.
Right?
That's right. The greatest things happen when you get out of your comfort zone.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And where everybody's looking at you like, oh my God, what is he doing? What is she doing? And then it's like, if you stay focused, I know, I mean, you and I are a product of that. We both stepped out of our comfort zone for sure. So tell us, everybody knows my story, but tell us your story.
Oh yeah. So yes, you could definitely relate because you've done the same thing. And it's like, and stepping out of your comfort zone, what I did was it came to the conclusion of the school year, and I had a choice now to whether I want to continue teaching or not. And I just say, I'm not coming back to teach in September. Like, I'm going to learn and be a full-time day trader. And trust me, I was not good at trading yet. I had just pretty much discovered trading. I said, I see a bunch of people making millions of dollars. I could do that too. Like, I did a math degree. Like, I'm intelligent. I can figure this out in like a few weeks. There's a level of delusion there, but I think delusion really drives success. It really does. You need to be delusional to really drive success, and it can get you over those humps.
Well, actually, what you did, Tyrell, is you used your imagination for what you wanted, regardless of what was, your credentials and what you were doing. You used that which is a powerful thing that we have that we're not taught to use, is picture yourself being the best.
Oh yeah.
Before you become the best.
Yes.
Right, and that's what you did.
100%. I love that you said that. That's something I used to do in basketball. I'm a huge Kobe fan. I'm sorry if you see above me again. That's a Kobe poster for a reason, because Kobe taught me a lot about work ethic and mindset. And I've read a lot of books on mindset and everything. And that's a huge principle I always talk about is like being it before you are it. And so like when I was on the basketball court, I used to picture myself as Kobe. I would walk like him, talk like him, act like him.
Yeah,
and it would make you play like him, honestly. And it's the same thing. I think those principles, transfer to other avenues as well, other skill sets. And so I definitely applied that with trading as well. Like you said, I definitely was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a great trader. I was picturing myself as a great trader. I get on the charts as if I'm some wizard, and then I would lose all my money same day. I would lose every day, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is harder than I thought. And what's insane though is I never, and mind you, everyone, I had I live by myself. I'm supporting myself. My family is not in New York anymore. I'm out here alone. And I quit. I went and got my master's just to quit the profession. Like, what was the point of that? So I have loans. It's like I'm just out here. All right. I got some savings, yes, but they're dwindling day by day because I was struggling as a trader, losing money every single day to the point where I became stone broke. But I think here's what I did that might make me crazy. I promised myself I would never give up. And I like not on some cliche stuff. I legitimately had to promise myself I will never give up. I am willing to go homeless behind it. As one of my mentees says, he says, get rich or die trading. I was like, I was willing, I was willing to die behind this, at least financially. And so because the thing is when you give yourself the option to quit, you will choose that option. Like you're gonna
Right,
choose it.
right,
So instead of having that as an option, it was figure it out at all times. And so therefore I had to make sure that I was always solution based. Even when I got down, I found my ways to get back up. A lot of
and you
miracles.
went through, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you went through the fear or the faith episode, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
so, and this is what I'm really getting from you is that you're like, I'm never giving up. That means you had to have faith. You
Oh,
didn't fall into the fear like, oh my God, what's going to happen if I'm poor? You're like, no, it's not even going to happen. It's not even such a thing that's going to occur to me. I'm going to do my best to ensure success.
oh yeah, yeah.
Love it.
It's 100%.
Positive mental attitude.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Everything is mental. Everything is mental and spiritual,
Mm,
right? Like because for me, I always say like I didn't. People say, "Yo, you took a bet on yourself." I respect it. And I always correct and I say, "No, I took a bet on God," and I really genuinely mean that because God is the reason why I even felt confident in the times where I really should be extremely unconfident. Like I lost all my money, yet I'm still like, things are gonna work out because I felt like there's like I have a hand on me. I'm protected. I really feel that way. I still feel that way to this day.
I
Even as
love that.
I it's my everything. And so like I don't even really take credit for it because the way that certain things happen in the way they did, I know it's divine. I know it's above me. Like I remember one time, so me and my friend Newski, shout out to Newski, he we had a car. We invested in a car at a car rental. He has a car rental business, right? So I put in on money into a car with him. And this is back when I had money. So that was back when it was okay. When I was a teacher, I had some money. I gave him money for a car, and he was renting it out until the car stopped working. So it was just sitting around, not making any money. And I'm like, bro, what's up? I could use that money now that I'm broke. I could use that money for
Mm.
sure. And it was sitting around for like 7 months. He couldn't get it sold or anything. Then there was a month where I was not about to have rent money. Rent was due in like 3 days, legitimately. And the landlords I had, they were not playing. Like, if you don't pay, it's you out of here. So I was like, I don't know what's about to happen. Next thing you know, Newski calls me randomly, like, yo, bro, like somebody hit us up for the car. Like, they said they want to buy the car, and I'm gonna send you the money. The money he sent me was the exact amount I needed for rent. It was the weirdest thing of all. And like sometimes you just sit there and like, all right,
Yeah.
okay,
There's no accidents or coincidences in life. I really think that everything is just the way it should be.
yeah,
Especially when these things happen, right? You're like, okay, like I didn't do that. Like there has to be something bigger than me in charge.
yeah,
And you accept it and you acknowledge it and you give gratitude for it. And
yes,
that's when you see the magic happen in your life. That's what I've learned in my life
yeah,
is take notice of it and give grace to it.
yeah,
Because when you acknowledge that there is something bigger than you, then it's always there to help you and guide you. When you think you're alone and you think you don't have anyone, or, you know, we have to go beyond what we see to understand that there is more for us that can lead us in the right direction.
yeah, absolutely. I think
Yeah.
if you believe that there's a higher calling on your life, you get a little more of a risk appetite, right? Because I think a lot of us see ourselves as small. We're just small fish. Like, I'm just trying to, let me exist in the world. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to step on any toes. It's like, if you realize that you're being guided from a higher power, like, well, you could spread your wings a little bit, like exercise that. You don't know what kind of power you have inside of you. The graveyard is full of talent, right? A lot of untapped talent, and
I love you said that, because there is one of my mentors who did mention, I think it was Dr. Wayne Dyer, who said it's the graveyard that has like trillions of dollars.
Yeah.
Because, people died still with their music in them. What does that mean? They never took the chance to go after their dreams.
Yeah.
Right. And again, did not bet on themselves. You took that chance. You betted on yourself.
Yeah.
And you're getting rewarded for it. So, again, share us a little bit about, your journey, how you built this business that you have.
Yeah. So, all right. So I'm starting to see some consistency with trading at this point. Thank God, I really came back up off my feet. And I'm like, I was teaching people for free at first for a while, like just through certain trading communities that we have online. You meet other traders across the country, across the world. And so I was like getting some of the concepts. I'm like, hey, if anybody doesn't understand this concept, let's get on Zoom. I'm gonna host a little class, and I was teaching people for free. People were loving it. And the reason why I was doing that is because my spiritual gift is to teach. I teach. Obviously, I'm credentialed as a teacher, but it's also a passion of mine. That's why I went for that in the first place. And so I used to teach basketball when I had a basketball as my skill set. And then I was teaching math when math was my skill set. And then now that the trading is my skill set, I'm teaching that, right? So yeah, I was doing free classes, but then eventually I'm like, man, I need to build out a full mentorship, because the better and better I got, and this is coming from obsessive learning. I'm talking about literally being in front of the charts for 12 hours at a time. I'm not even exaggerating when I say 12 to 12.
I believe it.
Yeah, literally, because when your back is against the wall, you do insane things to get your back off the wall. And so I did what I had to do, and I got so much knowledge. I had a notepad full of notes. I structured an entire mentorship, like a ton of lessons, just like if I was teaching. I made a whole curriculum, and I made homeworks with it, tests with it, a midterm, a final exam. I built out an entire, basically, college course of trading, and I launched an entire academy for it, and that's BTSMC. That's Bag Talk, Smart Money Concepts.
Okay, let's take a short little break, and when we come back, I want to know all about it. Okay, share with my audience, because it really sounds interesting. We'll be right back, everyone.
Now, the vast majority, approximately 95% of the people of all countries, go around and around without aim or purpose. They drift with the circumstances of life, good or bad.
A drifter is one who permits himself to be influenced and controlled by circumstances outside of his own mind.
Whereas the successful individuals create their own circumstances and ride them to victory.
When you're on purpose, you're living on purpose. You will never quit if you have a real purpose.
A burning desire to be and to do is the starting point from which the dreamer must take off. But what I have done has been recorded, it's been tested, it's being taken to a free world, and it's going to benefit millions of people who are not yet born.
And it's going to benefit millions of people who are not yet born. We're some of those people. That we're spreading this to the world. As your awareness grows, the doubt is gone, so that you can manifest whatever it is your heart desires. Isn't that beautiful?
So I know you're definitely practicing some of those principles, Napoleon Hill's principles, in what you're doing, right? I mean, you see it's having that goal, having that purpose. So yes, let's continue. So you built this beautiful program, educational program, workshop. So tell us what you do.
Yeah, so this program, this workshop, I call it an academy, really, right? If anything, I actually call it trade school, which is a good play on my teaching background, and I'm teaching people how to trade. So it's trade school. I'm teaching you a skill set, just like trade school. The skill set happens to be trading. So I think it was fitting. And so there's a strategy we trade called smart money concepts, which is how you approach the market from more of an institutional perspective. And so it's a lot more complex. Therefore, I need, like, people absolutely need the proper teaching to fully understand it, because if you try to learn it on your own, you're really taking the harder way of going about this journey. You really want to get under a mentor such as myself that can teach it to you adequately or efficiently. And so, yeah, that's what it was about. I built that. We have 30 plus classes in there, and I teach them twice a week on Zoom, live classes. Everyone's able to ask questions, interrupt me if they want to ask a question. I don't mind. I answer everybody's questions. It's an entirely, like, fully built out academy. Like I said, there's tests, there's quizzes, homeworks. You're gonna feel like you're taking an online.
So Tara, what was your intention behind it?
My intention behind it was to spread the knowledge that helped me change my life, largely because I know the potential of trading. I know the potential of what trading can do for people. And so one thing I didn't really like too much when I was a math teacher is, I know that students technically need that to graduate, but I did feel that a lot of things in the curriculum didn't really help us in life. Like, a lot of stuff I learned in my math major or when I was in school, I kind of look at it and say, I don't really use that in life too much, but I think trading can literally help somebody. Like, the messages I get, man, like, people have changed their lives, or the people have left their jobs. I've had students that have faced homelessness and now they're able to live on their own. Like, it's using the skill set that I'm teaching them. So I'm like, okay, this is tangible. It's really making an impact in the world, changing families. And so that's what made me say, yeah, I need to make an academy so they can learn it the right way and change their life in a jiffy.
That's beautiful, beautiful. And as an educator myself, I can relate to the fact that, kids get out of high school. I mean, I was an elementary teacher, and I did do math as well. But, they get out of school and they don't know how to do a checkbook. They don't know how to run a checkbook, right? A skill that we need, that's essential, does not get taught. So I can relate to what you were saying before, but also feeling confident that they have the skills to find a job or even to get into a college. I taught in New York City. Some of them didn't feel that way at all. So, I appreciate what you're doing very much. And that, that's one of the reasons why I love that you're here and you accepted the invitation, because you give that opportunity to the ones that feel, they're lost, right? You made a decision and you're like, I'm going to dedicate myself to this.
Mm-hmm.
And, you have such a positive mental attitude in regards to, regardless of what people told you, you stuck to your decision. How was that hard? Was that difficult for you?
Honestly, no, personally, because it comes from the way that I've already molded myself. So this started from a young age. I used to say I want to be in the NBA, just like a lot of kids. And of course, just like a lot of adults, they say, it's kind of unrealistic. Only 0.03% of people make it to the NBA. I remember I saw that stat when I was probably around 12 years old. Only 0.03% of people make it to the NBA. I looked at that at that age and I said, okay, I'm gonna be in the 0.03. And so I printed out the number 0.03% and I put it on my door up to my room in my house, back in my old house. And I looked at that number every day and it drove me. And so I say that to say, I've always taken the position of, if everybody's telling me to do one thing, especially if they're limiting me, I'm gonna always have to rise above it. And I'm gonna show them that I'm gonna be the one, right? Like, just because you can't do it doesn't mean I can't. And so I always had that approach. So when it comes to this pursuit now, as an adult, of course, people are saying, hey, man, you sure you want to leave your job? You're making like 90K, like you're doing your thing. You're kind of early in your career. You sure you want to just leave teaching to pursue trading, which is extremely risky? And I say, yo, God got me. At the end of the day, so if I were to go broke and lose everything, I truly feel that had to happen in my life. Like, and I think that's the thing. I'm not afraid to fail. And I don't want people to be afraid to fail. I think people are afraid to fail for two reasons. They're afraid of what other people will say to them, and they're also afraid of what they're going to say to themselves. And so there's two ways to fix that. I think if you're afraid of what other people will say to you, you have to remember that people don't really truly care how you think they do about your success or your failure. So if it's your success, they're really looking at you and they're thinking about themselves, because your success is a reflection of them. Like, man, why didn't I do it? So they're really thinking about themselves. And if you fail, they're really not thinking about you, because you're just kind of irrelevant and you're just a fleeting thought. Like, oh, well, I remember he tried to do that trading thing and like it didn't work out. Right. What am I eating for dinner tonight? Like, they're not really thinking about you like that. So to let people's mind limit you and your life is nonsensical to me. And then the other thing is, like, I forgot the other point I was gonna make. I was making 2 points, but yeah, I don't want people to be afraid of failure for what other people say. Oh yeah, the conversation with yourself. The conversation with yourself. The reason why you're afraid of the conversation with yourself is probably because of how you interpret failure and success. To me, success is in the effort. And so for me, one thing I'm afraid of is regret. My biggest fear in life is regret. I don't like to think, man, I wonder what would have happened if I would have figured out that trading thing, if I would have attempted that trading thing or attempted the basketball thing. I did not make it to the NBA, by the way. Do I look at basketball as a failure in my life? Not at all, because I know I put my all into that pursuit. I put my all into it. So I sit peacefully like, okay, that's not what God had for me. It led me to this avenue, though, with that same work ethic and that same mindset. And so for me, the success was in the effort of basketball. Now my success is in the effort of pursuing trading. It's going well so far. I pray to God it continues to go well. But my point is, you'll realize that if you change your mindset on what failure is, you can't tie your emotions to the output. You have to tie your emotions to the input. What are your inputs? Your inputs are getting
How
up.
bad do you want it, right? What's that burning desire? How bad do you want it? Because,
Correct.
like you said before, you don't look at it as, you know, am I going to make it or not going to make it? Your focus is going to be on what's next. What do I need to do next?
What do you need to
Right?
do?
So when you get into that mode of having confidence that there's no such thing as failure,
Right.
everything is going to be just a learning experience, right? Because that's really what it is. Every experience we have, it's an experience to help us grow and know more and become better at whatever it is that we want to do.
Yep.
I love the fact that, you said, and we had this conversation before, how, 3 generations don't even know that you exist. 3 generations from the past don't even know that, what we do matter. So we tend to let the outside affect our decision, whether it's people, circumstances, the news, whatever, dictate pretty much what our desires are. And by doing that, we hold ourselves back.
Right.
Right. And so, you definitely have taken that attitude of whatever it is I'm going to do, I'm going to give it my all,
Yeah.
regardless of what people say, regardless of what research shows. I'm going to make my own decisions. I mean, have you found yourself saying that more and more as you grow?
Yeah, 100%. And I think, like I said, it's about tying your emotions to your controllables, tying your emotions to things you could control. I'm happy if I gave my best effort. That's something I could control. I'm not tying my emotions to whether or not it worked out for me. I could pursue trading and fall flat on my face. One thing I'm gonna ask myself while I'm on my face is, okay, did I give it my all? And if I gave it my all, I get back up peacefully. I dust myself off and ask, hey, God, what do you really want from me then? But I'm cool with that. I live a lot more peacefully with that than playing it safe, tiptoeing my way to death, right? Like tiptoeing my way, because remember, we're all gonna die. But it's like, I want to live my life to the fullest in a way that I want to live it. I don't want to just live in a certain type of lifestyle that I'm not happy with, just to appease everybody else and to avoid tough conversations with myself. I can't live like that.
Right. I mean, looking in the mirror and saying you did a good job is worth $1 million versus looking in the mirror and saying, you messed up again today. Right. Because, creating those limiting beliefs is truly what stops us, and how we treat ourselves is the number one. It shows in our results. is the number one reason why we don't take action is because of how we are talking to ourselves,
Yeah.
right? And that, I'm sure you had to change your thinking as well as you got into this work.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like the thing about trading is it's gonna expose every flaw about yourself. Like I didn't realize how impatient I was, but I had to like I've always felt like I was a patient person until I became a trader. I was like, oh no, I guess I'm impatient. It exposed me, so to really deal with patience, I had to like really study how to be patient. And the way to be patient is to pretty much distract yourself with other things that could help you in the meanwhile while you're waiting for your result. So that's one way to deal with patience or a lack of patience. So for example, if I'm waiting on a play to set up because I want to take a certain play to make a profitable trade, if it's taking a long time to set up, it's okay. I'm going to distract myself with, okay, what can I do for my business right now? I need to make some content, and I start writing content ideas while I'm waiting for the play to set up. And so I'm still being productive. I'm still helping myself out, but it's also, making me patient. But it's forcing the patience because it's an action I could be in control of. But ultimately, yeah, there's a lot of I got exposed as a trader to a lot of different flaws within myself, like revenge trading. If you take a loss, you want to get it right back. Like, I can't stand taking a loss. I realized that comes from back when I used to play basketball. I never liked to go home with a loss. I wanted a rematch. I wanted, hey, play me again, something. You can't do that as a trader. If you lose, you actually have to be okay with it and say, okay, cool. So I had to learn to become humble. But these are good qualities to take through the rest of my life. You can't be a vengeful
Love it.
person, right? You don't want to be a vengeful person. So trading definitely helped develop me as a person. Absolutely.
Beautiful. Give us a success story.
Through trading.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could really just point to like my first payout. I remember, and by payout I mean is just basically people in the trading world. One thing we do is you're allowed to basically use other people's money to make money. And so what that means is there's companies out there that will give you money to trade with. Okay, so most traders never pass the evaluation challenge, which is the test that they give you to prove that you're a good trader in the first place. Like less than 10% of people pass that. So I remember passing that for the first time and feeling like, oh, I'm out of here. Like I'm finally a funded trader. That's what they call it. I'm a funded trader. Like I passed the challenge. So I remember that feeling. That was amazing because you got to remember, I'm starting from the ground. I actually never had a mentor myself. And so, I don't like to tie my success stories to like money per se, but more so moments of proving my skill set.
It is a measurement of your knowledge and how much you understand the concept.
Yes, exactly. Because I know how much work I put in to get there. Because to be honest, I'm not really driven by money. I've never been driven by money. It's about impact. And also I'm a perfectionist and I just want to be great. And so to be a great trader, that comes with a level of precision in the markets. And so the more that, like, once I passed my first challenges, show me like, yo, you're becoming a great trader. And then when I got my first payout, which is meaning that you met certain requirements, you grew the account to a certain amount, and they're willing to give you money for how much you grew it to. So they paid me out some money. The company paid me. When I got my first payout, I was elated. I said, this is amazing because I just saw the future now. Like, yo, if I get payouts multiple times a month, you start picturing all types of things, but it starts with that first moment, my first payout. So I remember getting my first payout, and it was like validation. I think it's important to have those small milestones because it's a form of validation that can keep you going. If you were down, you get a little milestone, like, you know what, maybe I should keep going because if I could just repeat this process, make sure this is repeatable. Oh man, I'm out of here, right?
Right. So you definitely gained the confidence, right? That was like your first step of saying, okay, you're on the right track.
Yeah.
I love that. You used the word humble, and there's being humble, and then there's your ego getting in the way.
Yeah.
Right. And I know whether it's trading or anything else, when the ego gets in the way, what do I mean by that? I mean, like when it's all about you and it's all about your bank account and your status and your level of authority or whatever you want to call it. I personally know that brings us down. That doesn't open up all the doors for us. It's when we are humble that you see how it affects others, and then somehow you get rewarded double and triple. Do you notice that in your field?
Yeah, absolutely. In my field, there's a lot of ego, right, from these different mentors, different traders
Mhm.
out here. They treat people nastily, and them shining is actually like really hurting people because they're not shining in the right way. Like you can shine without putting down people. You can just shine within your own right. You're being successful. That's cool. But when you know, talk down to people as if you're better than, those people that act like that, they always come crashing down. I've seen all of them that I know that were moving like that with people. They're all not doing well anymore. It was short lived, and that's because they didn't have the character to maintain the success. You know, so I think success is maintained by good character, in my opinion. You know,
Absolutely. And I also know that if you put money before people, it's a big no-no,
yeah, yeah,
right?
uh-huh.
Because it's not the money that makes us happy. It's those unseen forces, love, compassionate understanding, that you bring to someone or someone brings to you, that creates the happiness.
Yeah,
So, and people attract more to that if they're authentic. And this is how I read you, um, when we first met at the awe event, is that you were very authentic. You're very real. You shared your story. You're about helping others see success, because like myself, I quit my job too as a teacher, right?
yeah,
We were making great money, and now we went into the field of helping others with that intention, knowing that this is my calling. This is what I have to do. This is what brings me joy. There is no way that, again, I call it God, universe, whatever we want to call it, something greater than us says, oh, you're going to go in that direction. You trust that I'm going to help you, and you're going to help my children, because we're all together connected somehow. I feel that tremendously. Um, and know that's the truth. So whatever I do for you and you do for me, we're going to get rewarded,
yeah.
right? In so many other ways.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I was actually talking to one of my mentees the other day. She was going through something really traumatic in her life, and I was just helping her through it on the phone because my mentees, I don't. It's not just about trading. It's a life relationship, right? And
Mhm.
so I was just telling her like, hey, I gave her some pretty helpful words, and she was like, man, those words really helped me. And I said, listen, those words, I only have those words because I've been through some things too. And I said, so what makes my traumas worth it is the fact that it can help somebody else through their traumas. So I think we don't really realize sometimes that we're going through things, not just for us, we're going through things so we can help somebody else in the future. And it makes your traumas somewhat worth it. I'm not saying we want the traumas, but shoot, if we have them, we might as well do something with them. And what we can do is help other people get through theirs. So it's like each one teach one at that point.
And Terrell, I will promise you, an extension of that is that as you helped her with those words, you also helped yourself,
Oh yeah.
right? Because
Yes.
whatever comes out of our mouth, we get to feel it first.
Yes.
So good or bad, or whatever it is, we get to say it, we get to hear it, we get to feel it first.
Yeah.
And then it goes to the other person. So I always say, be careful what you say. Say the right thing, because it truly affects us first energetically. We get to feel it. But I also understand that when we do lend a helping hand, it's helping us as well, for sure.
Yeah.
So I love that. And being a teacher, I'll call it a teacher in what you do, you're not just wearing one hat. If you think it's just about trading and that's all you want to talk about, you're going to turn people off, right?
Yep. Yep. I noticed that 100%. It's the I learned that also in the classroom when I wasn't actually a public school teacher too. You know, especially in certain populations. You say you worked in New York City. I worked in some of the underprivileged areas of Long Island, largely that were just it's a lot of students really need a lot of help. They're socioeconomically disadvantaged. And so I was just like, man, you are definitely not just a math teacher. Like I am a therapist, I'm a doctor. Yeah, you name. I'm a father, an older brother. I'm everything at this point. I'm like, oh my goodness, and so that's how I learned that character from there. I realized like, okay, teaching is deeper than just your content area. Even though like that's why I approached my teaching the way I did. So even when I was a teacher, I had an after school club that I started called the Financial Freedom Club. And that's where I was teaching the kids their stocks, real estate, credit, crypto. I was teaching them everything they need to know to make money when they get out of here, especially because a lot of those students didn't necessarily have college plans. They wanted to just kind of start working after school. So I'm like, okay, how can I really help these kids, like immediately? What's something that would impact them? Because they don't really care about logarithmic functions right now, but I think if I could get them to start investing a little bit, it could really severely benefit them and their family in the future. So it's just always thinking from the perspective of how can I truly benefit these people's lives. And so even in my trading world now and my mentees, I try to give them a lot of advice that's past the charts. I try to get to know them as a person and lend advice in any way that I can, or just be a listening ear, whatever it takes to really benefit people holistically versus just strictly, oh, let me teach you how to trade. Like if you think it's just
love that. I love that.
Right.
And I can so relate because I did teach in Title I school as well. And I remember, I always wanted to be an elementary teacher, but the first job I got was a middle school math teacher. And I'm like, middle school, and I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? And of course, and I had to teach social studies, and I got put in classes that I just did not know how to handle it. But I remember this one time, it was like we had to do compare and contrast, and the general education teacher did two presidents, I don't know, Abraham Lincoln and George Washington, and I'm like, there's no way these kids are gonna learn this stuff. So I got Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. You had to see. If I could have had an observation during that particular lesson, I probably would have gotten this, the 5 stars, because they were all in it. You gave them something that they were interested in. You gave them something that they can relate to, right? And once you grab their interest, they're opening to learn.
Yeah.
Right? They can relate, and it's something that would affect their lives. Like they all wanted to be basketball players. So like I knew that, and I incorporated that into the lesson to compare and contrast 2 of their favorite basketball players. And it was a home run. It was like, so I can see you applying that in what you're doing as well.
Yeah, because you realize that people don't, it's not about what you teach them, it's about how you make them feel. That's what really sticks with them.
Totally.
Yeah.
You just hit it on the nose, Terrell.
Yeah.
Because even when it comes to, anybody going out there buying a dress, it's like, how's that dress going to make them feel? Like they can imagine putting on that pretty dress, or going to that restaurant. How's that going to make them feel? People buy with their heart and their feelings and their emotions. People make decisions. I'll even go even further. They make decisions based on how they will feel.
Correct.
Right? So it's very important to understand that. So it's not about how much does something cost. It's about how am I going to feel if I get that.
Exactly.
Right. So, but it's so important to understand that, again, doing things with intention, right, is where I believe the success will come in, with good intention. Let's say that, but good intention. And I think you have that platform. You have that platform where you have all good intention to help people succeed. And you have worked hard to create a workshop, an academy to train people how to do it if that's what they want to go into.
Yep.
Right? It may not be for everybody, but for someone who doesn't know where to go, where to start, or has started and is finding themselves struggling,
right,
you're the guy.
Yeah.
They should contact.
Yeah, 100%. And I think especially if people want an environment where it's not ego driven, it's real community and like-minded individuals, that's definitely the platform that I built. For example, in my community, it's an online community. So if anybody's familiar with Discord, the app, it's like there's little channels you could tap into. So each channel is titled something. So there's a focus to each channel. there's a channel that I have there that's called the journal. In that journal is a group journal. So of course you could journal on your own and write your own entries, but I have a group journal because I feel that the lessons that we learn in the market, we should learn them together. Why not, right? If I took a loss and I want to journal about it, maybe I shouldn't be the only one to learn from this loss. Everybody else should at the same time. So that's why I did that on purpose, but in contrast, majority of trading communities, they don't have a journal channel. They have a profits channel. So that's where people just put screenshots of the money they made. Hey, I made 1,000 today. Hey, I made 5,000 today. Yeah. And it's like, that's cool and all, but to be honest, what does that really do for anybody besides make them feel bad when they don't make 5,000 or 1,000? You lost money today. This guy made money, and you feel bad about yourself. So I always think about how my students feel first, because I don't need to see the reason why people have profits channels is because if I'm the owner of that community, I can market that. See, look how much profits my students are making. Come and join us. Let me take your money. I'm cool. I don't need that. I feel that my purpose is driven by God. I'm gonna get my money regardless. And so for me, I rather focus on what do my students truly need. They need a journal channel, not a profits channel. And so always leading with that intention of really benefiting people's people's lives is really where I like. If you notice, a lot of my actions start with thinking about other people first and then working it back within,
That's so beautiful. Tell us your routine in the morning. What do you do?
So in the morning, I'm going to wake up. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pray. And then I'm going to probably read something from the Bible personally. And then after that, I'm going to go to the gym. I like to get my workout in early. And then I'm going to get on the computer and start looking at my charts. After that, when I get back home, I'm going to shower in between that. Don't worry, everybody. I ain't not trading all musty. but yeah, so then I'm gonna I'm gonna trade. Most likely I'm gonna live trade with my members. And then after that, after trading is finished, that's where I'm working on content, largely getting back to different messages I might have missed throughout the day. And then I teach at night. I teach my classes at nighttime. And then, somewhere in the mix, I somehow fit dinner in somewhere usually. But that's also what my days are. It's like wake up, spend time with God, work out, trade, work on the trading business, sleep.
So now I'm going to ask you this question. Did you do that before? Did you take the time to wake up, give gratitude to God, and then go to work?
Yeah, I did. That's something that I kept consistent back then. I started that back when I played basketball. I think like the basketball journey is really what shaped my character. I just took that character and I'm putting it into my current pursuits. And that's one thing I also learned about. It doesn't matter what journey you're on, you're still gonna need the same principles. That's why you can listen to different people in different fields, different successful people, and they're all saying generally the same things. It's not an accident. So if you're listening to this and you haven't taken action yet, or you haven't made certain changes to your life yet, but you're hearing everyone say the same general principles: wake up in the morning, give gratitude, I work out, I'm taking care of my health, I'm studying, I'm trying to impact other people for the I'm not just thinking about myself. They're saying all these general things. It's not an accident. Do the same thing and you will start to see successful results in your life. That's a guarantee.
Absolutely. And we know when you go down this path of really honoring yourself, because that's what you did, that's what I did. You begin to understand that it's not about just us. You're not here just for you. And if you think you're just here for you, you're going to come across hard stuff, struggling with whatever it is you want to do, because we're taught, just think about your family. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Just think about your family. The truth of the matter is, if we are all united and we're understanding that whatever happens to you will affect me, and vice versa, you try to be a partner with someone versus being against them.
Yep.
And talking and then you'll see the trickle effect in your results of what you're trying to accomplish. Right. Yeah. So as much as they say, competition is good, we really have to take a look at that, because I feel like sometimes we're competing against ourselves.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I always say it's you.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So give us a couple of tips.
Okay, so there's tips I would give beginners, and there's tips I would give people who are already in the journey. So I'll try to give like beginner tips really quickly. Like, and what I would say is like for trading, if you're going to trade, I don't want you to trade with a lot of money at first. If you're gonna approach trading, you get under a mentor. Ideally, I really suggest you get under a mentor, because trying to figure it out on your own is you're gonna lose money in the process. It's very much worth the investment of getting a good mentor. Vet your mentor, make sure they're good. Once you get that, still trade with a little bit of money, because we all lose money when we first trade. I don't know not one trader who didn't come into the game and lose a bunch of money at first. So just keep in your mind that you're probably going to lose money. So if you're going to trade, don't put on a $5,000 account or a $10,000 account and you're going to blow the whole thing. You might as well just trade with $1,000, take smaller position sizes, and be willing to lose like 1,000. So I would say start small, build the skill set. I always say process over profits. That's something I always say. Focus on the process of becoming a good trader, making good decisions. Then you could always put more money on the line and make bigger profits in the future. So that's one thing I'll say. And then something I'll tell people who already trade, who are already familiar with the charts, is I want you to question everything that is popular. And why do I say that? It's just simple math. It's just coming from a math teacher. So take it from me. Like, if 90% of traders fail, you can't approach the market the way that 90% of people do. You're going to get the results that 90% of people get. So you have to approach the markets from more of an abstract perspective, which is the way that I teach. So I teach a concept called smart money concepts. It's starting to gain popularity. The issue here is that majority of people that try to learn smart money concepts, they're learning it incorrectly, because the mentors that they're learning it from, they were half listening, they were half studying. If you can't tell by now, I'm very obsessive, and my work ethic is an undying work ethic. I did not half listen when I was learning smart money. I know every single centimeter of smart money. I know everything about smart money, and then some. I know a lot more than smart money as well. So I say that to say, if you're gonna approach the market using smart money concepts, that's the best way to trade the market, because you approach the market from an institutional perspective. So for example, when you get into the market, you're probably going to learn about support and resistance. Smart money, we trade against that. We attack people's support and resistance levels. And I'm talking to, once again, people who already traded when I say this. And so you know what I'm talking about. If you trade, you've heard of support and resistance. And so I'm just saying, without getting too nerdy on here, question everything that you've been told, because largely what we do is we approach the market from the opposite angle, the way that the 10% is approaching the market. And I think that's always the smarter way to go about it.
Don't follow the masses, basically.
No, please don't. Please don't.
So I really love that. So how can people get a hold of you? I see you have your website there, www.bagtalksmc.com.
Correct. Yep. www.bagtalksmc.com. When I say that, sometimes people think I say back talk with a CK. No, it's bag as in book bag. Bagtalksmc.com. And you can find me there on my website, or you can go to my Instagram. That's at bagtalkterrell. Terrell is spelled Tyrell. So I answer all DMs. If you ever want to reach out to me, no one has ever DM'd me and not gotten a response. That's a rule I have. So just reach out if you have any questions. You can see all my content on there. I have a lot of trading content on there. I have some mindset things on there as well. So you definitely want to tap in. But that's where you can find me, my website and my Instagram.
Well, thank you, Terrell, for joining me today. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. I really appreciate your wisdom and your talent on trading. I really hope my audience really connects with you if they, if this is their interest. I know you have a deep passion for it, not only to help yourself, but help others, which, to me, that is much more rewarding when we do help others, because we feel it, the impact that we're making to this world. So you're definitely sparking change in my book, Terrell. So thank you so much for joining me, and thank you, everyone, for joining us. Until next time, this is Sparking Change with Gigi. Bye-bye. Thank you, Terrell.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me on Sparking Change with Gigi. I hope that our episode today has ignited a spark within you to create positive change in your own life and in the world around you. To learn more about how you can become a guest or supporter, head over to sparkingchangenow.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing, sharing, and leaving a review. Your feedback is incredibly valuable to me, and it helps me to continue producing content that sparks change in each of us and the world. You can find us on various platforms, including Google Play Store, Apple App Store, YouTube, Facebook, Roku, Android TV, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Thank you again for watching, and I look forward to having you join me again next week on Sparking Change with Gigi.